Remember the life jackets?
Two old school friends decide a fishing trip to Mexico would be a great way to repair their rocky relationships with their dads.
Getting all this, Dad? Beautiful.
I hadn't seen my dad in quite a while. I didn't have the kind of father-son relationship typically at that point in your life that you have.
What promises to be the ultimate male bonding holiday soon turns into a nightmare.
What did you do?
Mayday, mayday, mayday.
As they are forced to ditch their plane in the middle of the sea. As the dads struggle to survive the heavy seas, one son decides to strike out alone in search of help.
Jim, I'm gonna try and make it ashore.
On my own.
I just remember feeling almost in awe at his bravery.
But behind this courageous act lies a deeply personal mission.
My dad never saw me as being a strong person, and I was going to show him that I could do this.
Jim Hawley and Jens Lundy have known each other practically all their lives.
He's more like, almost like a brother, you know, somebody I could never get rid of if I wanted to. You know, we'll always be friends.
Hey, do you remember the life jackets?
Yeah, I got him. You worry about flying the plane.
We've always been really close friends.
Here they come.
The friends have asked their fathers to join them for a weekend of fishing in Mexico. They hope that the trip will prove a turning point in their relationships.
I hadn't seen Jens probably in 3 or 4 years. We kind of drifted apart.
When I called my dad, I don't know that he put as much thought into, I get to hang out with my kid.
Hi, Dad.
And really just have that dad-kid friend relationship that I was looking for. But he was real receptive because I had said the magic word fishing.
Jim gets off to a good start with his dad.
So I finally get to see the aviator in action.
One of my first thoughts was how impressed I was with Jim at his meticulous checking of the aircraft.
That's why I had no idea that it took so much work to get such a small plane off the ground.
Well, once you're in...
That wasn't the Jim that I knew as kind of a helter-skelter, do it quick, do it now kind of a person.
Better to be safe than sorry, right?
Yeah.
But for Jens, getting to know his dad again is proving tough.
Can I take the rod?
No.
Okay. Leave that now. I'm going to take this up, okay?
All right, here we go. All right. Is it gonna fit?
Yeah, that'll fit, okay.
You sure it's gonna fit through there? Easy does it.
All right, I need the life preservers now, Dad, okay?
Life preserver.
It wasn't a real organized trip. The life jackets that I purchased were cheap inshore life jackets. They were $4 a piece, and I thought, well, I'll bring these back if we don't use them.
We really didn't have much as far as in the way of emergency preparedness.
Jim continues to impress his dad with his aviation skills.
Real smooth takeoff, Jim.
Couldn't ask for a finer day, gentlemen.
The fun things that I saw out of the trip was to be able to go with Jim and have him be able to fly the plane down there, and that he was showing that part of his success in life. But I was very happy with that, and I thought this will be an opportunity for us to spend some time together and talk about things maybe we haven't talked about before.
I love flying, and I love the freedom that it gives. I also love the responsibility, and some would call it risk.
Jim has been flying for 3 years and has clocked up over 200 hours in the air. From Arizona, it's a 3.5-hour hop to the small Mexican port of Loreto on the Baja California coast. To the south, the sparkling waters of the Sea of Cortez teem with marine life. There are tuna, marlin, and yellowtail. But it's also home to 150 different types of shark and a highly unpredictable giant Humboldt squid.
Getting all this, Dad? Yeah. It's beautiful.
Yeah, this flight was smooth. We could see the water was beautiful, and Sun was up and clear skies.
As I got ready to take a nap, I put opera on my Walkman to sleep to. It's real comforting, and it's a great opera, The Marriage of Figaro.
3 hours later, the plane is 30 minutes from touchdown, directly over the Sea of Cortez.
Hey, look at that cloud!
Loretta Tower, Mooney, November 201, Juliet Mike. I'm about 30 miles out. I see a lot of weather building in front of me. Can you give me an idea of the weather at the airport?
I had kind of a premonition that something was going to go on with this, something was going to happen.
I was beginning to get pretty concerned. I couldn't raise anyone.
Okay, guys, I'm gonna take us through this. We'll make better time.
Jim thinks it's just a squall, but he's actually flying into a violent storm.
It was just a real weird mix of waking up and trying to figure out where in the story I was in the opera and what was going on in the plane at that point.
It was alarming because it was so sudden. I didn't see any indications that it was that severe until we were in it.
Jim, what's happening?
It was one of those types of storms that it was getting worse by the second. And then it started to get turbulent, and I think I saw a lightning strike or two really close.
We're in the storm and there's no up, there's no down.
I looked at everybody else's faces. They kind of had a look of concern, but they're looking at me to see if I have a look of concern.
I'm gonna take us up. Good, good! I'd like to have my stomach back!
As soon as we were heading the other direction, the sky got blue, the turbulence stopped, the rain stopped.
Everybody okay?
I didn't think you felt the bumps in first class.
Their sense of relief doesn't last long.
It was very alarming when the engine quit. It just sort of grenaded.
What's happened, son?
I don't know.
There's a single propeller blade stuck in the vertical position right in front of us.
It was like the hand of God reached up and shook the plane.
What did you do?
I didn't do anything.
And he kind of gave me the, hang on, let's figure this out.
Can you get it started?
And there was kind of silence in the plane for a few minutes.
I can't.
Jim and Jens's fishing trip to Mexico with their dads has gone terribly wrong. After flying through a violent storm, their aircraft's engine suddenly failed. Now they face the terrifying prospect of ditching in open sea.
Mayday, mayday, mayday. Loretta Tower, Mooney, 201, Juliet Mike.
This is unreal. This can't be happening.
25 miles northeast, engine failure. Mayday, mayday, mayday.
I didn't know if my transmission, where I had told them where I was, had even been heard, because I didn't hear a response back.
Sorry, guys, we're going in.
I could see part of the Baja shoreline. I could see, the other direction, nothing but ocean. And I just thought, well, we really don't have any place to go.
Okay, guys, I'm taking us back into the storm. The headwind will slow us down.
Jim's plan to slow the plane down will help reduce their impact with the water, but it's a risky strategy. If the airspeed drops too far, the plane will simply drop out of the sky.
When the airplane quits flying, that's bad. That's usually you get severely killed when that happens.
I can see the water, and it was ugly. Huge waves, huge waves.
Unlatch the door. Brace yourselves.
I was ready. I had the headrest in my hands. If that was the last thing I ever saw, I wanted to see what happened to me.
Are we going to be knocked unconscious and die, or is it just going to be, boom and lights out?
I realized that nothing had happened that I was expecting to happen. I was expecting the plane to cartwheel and come apart in pieces.
We're alive.
A plane was not meant to float. It was gonna sink. I was getting out of the plane.
I opened the handle and kicked the door open. And I just undid my seatbelt and jumped out.
Decided to better get the hell out of the aircraft.
Jim was still in the pilot seat, and I was reaching in going, come on, come on, come on, come on, get out, get out, get out.
It was so stormy. I mean, the wind was blowing so hard, the waves were so big and crashing, and it seemed like the sea was going to swallow anything, including us. The airplane began to sit lower and lower into the water within just a few moments.
The men have no choice. They grab hold of anything that will keep them afloat and jump into the terrifying seas.
I looked back at the airplane, it was hovering, just the tail sticking out of the water.
The navigation lights on the plane were still on, and you could see it as it sank and got farther and farther away, and you kept seeing this strobe. You're there with 3 people, but you felt really alone.
For just a soft moment, I thought, my God, how did those people feel when the Titanic went down? You're looking at it, and it's just our little aircraft, but it was the only thing we had.
He couldn't breathe, and the whole time he's trying to get his life vest on, and there wasn't anything we could do to help him.
The life jackets that I purchased were approximately for children aged 12 to 15, 100 pounds.
Jens is bitterly regretting his bid to save money on life jackets.
Jim and I were fine in the smaller life jackets, but our dads were not.
Jim's dad, 58-year-old John, is the one who's struggling most.
I was able to get my shoulders through the straps of the little life jacket, and it kind of ended up being on my back like a backpack.
They may have survived the ditching, but their fight for life is only just beginning. The Sea of Cortez is over 90,000 square miles of open water, with barely any boat traffic. And it's constantly patrolled by dangerous predators like sharks and giant squid. But right now, the men face a more immediate danger.
The storm was terrible. The wind was blowing. Lightning, tons of lightning. And John was really scared of the lightning.
The lightning looked like telephone poles, and they would hit the water, and I was thinking, how close does that have to get to us to be a danger to us.
Each bolt carries up to 100 million volts, and the salt in the water actually helps to conduct the electricity. If a bolt strikes the water even several feet away from the man, the shock could still kill him. Jim is getting increasingly anxious about his father.
My dad had now become very quiet. He was just sort of staring straight ahead, almost like he's in a daze.
It's an hour since they ditched, and their situation is becoming desperate.
We heard the heavy drum beat, the sound of a helicopter. It was just, it was the most beautiful sound I'd ever heard.
Jim's mayday call did get through after all.
We had swim fins that were yellow or neon green. That was all we had. And then the noise got quieter and quieter and quieter. And we realized he didn't see us. He's not coming back. How much investment does it take to have some flare guns? You know, you can pull them out, pop, and all of a sudden now, you're an instant target to your would-be rescuer. It was just terribly disappointing because by that time it was now late in the afternoon. The prospects of being out there all night were really frightening.
John is losing his fight to keep his head out of the water.
The waves kept crashing over the top, and I swallowed a lot of salt water, and everything I had came up. It just made me violently ill.
Dad! Are you okay?
I just was totally out of control, and I felt in my mind I'm losing control of the situation. As Jim was trying to comfort me, I was trying to assure him to get that guilt off of his mind, because I think he was guilty, felt guilty because we were in the water, he felt guilty because I was sick, he felt guilty because he thought maybe I wasn't going to survive or I wasn't going to make it.
Stop swallowing, Mark!
It was frightening. It was very frightening. I didn't want to watch my dad die, especially didn't want to watch him die just because of, you know, drowning or asphyxiation right there in front of us when there's nothing we could do about it.
Dad, please hold on!
John's vomiting is rapidly dehydrating him. If it doesn't stop, it could prove fatal. As his friend's father continues to deteriorate, Jens reaches a decision.
I was worried about John. I couldn't handle watching John die. I didn't want to be there for that.
Jim! Jim!
Jens and Jim separated from us for some reason.
We need to get help for your dad! I don't think anyone's coming! I'm gonna try and make it ashore!
My plan at that point was to leave Jim with my dad to care for my dad in case something happened.
Okay, let's do it! No, Jim! On my own!
And I said, come on, are you gonna swim you're gonna swim alone? You're just gonna leave us and swim alone?
That doesn't make sense! We should swim together!
I had already made up my mind at that point that I was leaving.
Jim, I need you to stay here. I need you to look after your dad. He's sick, Jim. He might not make it. And if he goes, I need you to take care of my dad. I don't want him to be on his own. Look, I need to go get help. I need to go now. Okay.
Jens was so insistent, and his logic seemed sound.
We'll all make it out of this, I promise.
My concern at that point was that my dad would recognize that I was leaving before I was far enough away.
Okay. I don't want my dad coming after me. You stay here until I'm out of sight, and then go back and tell him.
I said, I'll see you later on tonight or tomorrow, and you know, you just keep swimming in that direction, and I'll do the same. And if they find me before they find you, I'll know where you're at, and vice versa.
We'll all make it out of this alive.
I could see him, and then I couldn't see him because of the waves, and then I could see him, and I couldn't see him.
They were one wave farther away, and then 2 waves farther away, and 3, and it just kept going until 300 yards away, you couldn't see him anymore.
Jens has only a vague idea in which direction the land lies. If he gets it wrong, he could end up swimming further out to sea.
He finally disappeared from my sight. It was kind of a lonely feeling at that point because I was by myself then too. I think I would have been so frightened to swim by myself. I just remember feeling almost in awe at his bravery. It was just a very brave thing to do.
Jim knows it may be the last time he sees his friend. Now he has to break the news to Jens's father.
Where's Jens? He's going for help. Why'd you let him go by himself? You shouldn't have let him go by himself. That's my son.
And he said that they had decided that somebody needed to go for help. And since Jens is probably the strongest swimmer of all of us, he took the swim fins that Jim had on.
My dad never saw me as being a strong person, and I was going to show him that I could do this, and he couldn't. It was that. It was that I've grown up, and I'm going to show you.
Jens is swimming in the right direction, but what he doesn't realize is that land is 10 miles away. An almost impossible swim through such heavy seas. Even if he makes it, a treacherous reef blocks his route to shore. The men have now been in the water for 8 hours.
I was wondering, how far has he made it? How far has he made it? And I remember looking at my watch and trying to calculate in my head how much speed he could be making through the water to shore and just, peering off into the distance and wondering, did he make it there?
Jens is making slow progress. He has no idea how far away land is, or if he even has the strength to make it there alive.
I was just done. I didn't feel that I was going to be able to actually make it to shore at that point, because I was fighting these waves and just you'd swim uphill and then downhill and uphill.
Jim's dad is now exhausted and seriously dehydrated. His condition is deteriorating by the hour.
I felt very helpless because there's nothing I could do. I couldn't pick him up, I couldn't hold him, I couldn't drag him off in any direction to safety. There's a feeling of extreme helplessness.
As night falls, an exhausted Jens swims on.
storm cleared up, and I could see stars. As I was swimming, I thought about what if John didn't make it. There was a shooting star, and you always hear that that's the representative of an angel, and I thought John had died. That was difficult. That was pretty hard. But I thought, I'm not going to let this beat me.
With renewed determination to save his father and his friends, Jens pushes himself on. But then he gets a shock.
I felt there were things around me, and I started feeling kind of pinprick sensations every once in a while and could not figure out why that was happening.
Jens realizes, to his horror, that he is not alone in the water. Jens has ditched in the Sea of Cortez with his best friend and their fathers. In a desperate effort to save them, he struck out alone for the shore.
We had to let somebody know that we were alive and that we needed to be rescued.
As night fell, the storm subsided. But Jens still has many hours swimming ahead of him before he can reach land and raise the alarm.
I'd been swimming for nearly 6 hours. I was thirsty, really thirsty.
Exhausted, Jens faces a new ordeal. A swarm of stinging jellyfish.
It felt like when your hand goes to sleep or your foot goes to sleep, just in little spots all over. And they were getting in my shorts, which is not a place you really want jellyfish.
The barrage of stings push Jens's already exhausted body to the verge of total collapse. Out in open water, John, Jim, and Bill wait. The men have no idea what lurks beneath them.
We didn't talk about what dangers in the water. We were in the water, there was no way to get out of it, so if I began worrying about it or talking about it or creating a situation in my mind, I thought, well, that's not going to be good.
What the hell was that?
What?
I felt something. It felt warm. It brushed against my legs.
I knew for sure there was something else in the water with us then.
Are you okay?
I don't know.
It brought back also to the reality that, hey, maybe something is stalking us.
Jim knows these waters are full of dangerous predators. One of the most feared is the giant Humboldt squid.
The squid are very aggressive, and they're very large, and they're very capable of killing a person. They are very easily provoked into a frenzy. And if you're in the water during that time, it could be very dangerous.
Mexican fishermen call the jumbo squid Diablos Rojos, red devils. They can grow up to 7 feet long and weigh more than 100 pounds. The squid's powerful tentacles pull the prey into its mouth, where it tears it to shreds with its razor-sharp beak. Whatever was stalking the men has gone away for now. All they can do is pray it won't come back. Jens has been swimming for over 10 hours. He's almost no strength left and is close to despair.
That's when I started hearing something. And couldn't really figure out at first what it was that I was hearing. and would stop and just be as quiet as possible and try to control my breathing and try to slow down my heartbeat so I could hear this noise that was happening every couple seconds. And finally came to the realization that I was hearing waves breaking on something. And the closer I got, the louder they got. And still couldn't really guess or tell what I was swimming towards. I smashed my knee on something solid. It cut me right where my knee hit the rock. And then the rock is covered in sea urchins. And they went right through the swim fins, right into the bottoms of my feet. So now I'm kind of bleeding from my knee, bleeding from my feet, standing up on this rock. And that's the first solid piece of ground that I had stood on in over 12 hours.
Jens realizes that after 2 hours swimming towards the crashing waves, he's still nowhere near dry land.
Then started realizing that if I was on one rock, what I was hearing the waves breaking up was more rocks. And that I was headed right into a washing machine full of sharp rocks.
Jens has reached the dangerous reef. A whirlpool of surf and treacherous rocks bars his way to shore. He has just one option.
I knew that I had to swim back the way that I came. It was just heart-wrenching to know that I had to push off of this solid piece of ground and swim back out into the ocean.
In the open sea, John has stopped vomiting. Ironically, it's Jim, the youngest and fittest of all of them, who is now in the most danger. He is feeling the first effects of hypothermia.
Here I am, I'm 24 hours without sleep. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm very tired. I'm very thirsty. I've gone a long time without sleep, a long time without anything to drink or eat.
Dad, are you cold?
No, I'm okay.
Bill? No, I don't think so.
Are you all right?
I can't stop shivering.
You'll be fine.
I'd have to rest my head on my dad's shoulder because I didn't have anything to support my head, and I began to get kind of fearful.
I'm so sorry, Dad. I got us in such a mess.
It's not your fault, Jim. You landed the plane. And we're alive.
I had way too much to live for, you know? All I wanted to do was make sure I got back to my beautiful wife and my child. I could hear my wife's voice of encouragement. Just hang in there. You can get through this. I'm fighting off the cold. I'm fighting off the chills by using more energy to keep myself warm. And I remember thinking, how long can I keep that up? How long until the body finally just gives out? And will I be aware of that happening, or will I just sort of, all of a sudden, you know, there's a light and there's Grandma and Elvis and, you know.
It's now over 12 hours since their plane was forced to ditch in the sea, and all 3 men are beginning to lose hope. They don't know if they can make it till daylight. Their only glimmer of hope is Jens making it to shore, but they have no idea if he is still alive. Jens is still struggling to find his way through the hazardous reef. Finally, after 2 hours, he sees something.
It was just, it was amazing. As I swam farther and farther south, I saw a light on the beach. It was a Mexican fisherman that had camped out on this beach.
He doesn't get the reaction he was expecting. The fishermen are wary. People coming ashore in the middle of the night are often drug smugglers.
I'm sorry, I don't understand. No hablo español.
The fisherman spoke no English. Not enough to communicate what happened and what I needed.
Mi amigo, they're still out there. No, I don't understand.
Cálmate.
And when I finally realized that we weren't going anywhere, I was just done. And just started crying.
Jim's condition is deteriorating. All they can do is hang on to the hope that Jens has made it ashore. Jens has made it, but any hope of rescue is still a long way off. Dawn. The warmth of the sun brings some relief to the 3 men still lost at sea. They are lucky to be alive, but their situation is still bleak.
As the sun got up higher and higher and we could see better, there was a very ugly reality of really how far offshore we were.
They're beginning to suspect the worst, that Jens never made it to shore and no rescuers are coming.
I'm thinking, we ought to hear something, we ought to see something, but there was nothing.
They're not looking for us.
Jim faces a dilemma. His dad and Bill may not survive an arduous swim, but the longer they wait, the weaker they will get. And predators are still an ever-present fear. He decides they must swim west and hope to hit the Baja coast.
I realized by letting go of the ice chest, we could make so much faster time. We could reach shore so much faster.
But the older men are fearful. They're thirsty, dehydrated, and very tired from their long ordeal.
Dad, Bill, let go of the chest. We can swim much faster without it.
And I remember the look on my dad's face. Once he let go of that ice chest, he had to let go of it mentally as well as physically.
And I'm thinking, well, I can make twice the time when we're off that ice chest as I can without it.
Bill, let go of the chest.
Bill did not want to let go of the ice chest, and it wasn't long before we were 50, maybe 100 feet apart. And it became apparent to Bill that he was a stationary object.
But the shore is a long way away. After more than 18 hours in the sea, the strength of all 3 men is nearly spent. Jens is led away by the fishermen. He has no idea where they're taking him, but he's given up trying to make himself understood.
It was horribly frustrating to not be able to tell them, look, we need to go back out there and find these other people. They are in danger. And instead of heading out to look for the others, they started taking me south.
What Jens doesn't know is that the fishermen are taking him to the port of Loreto. There, he can at last alert the authorities to mount a rescue mission. Now, he faces an agonizing wait for news.
There was a curious bunch of seagulls. They would come out and kind of hover over us and then fly back to shore. I think they were monitoring our progress or seeing if one of us was going to die so they could get an easy meal. But I remember one of the seagulls came so close to me, I actually swung at it with my hand.
The 3 men have been swimming for hours, and now Jim worries that his dad is pushing himself too hard.
I remember my dad behaving odd. My dad wanted to get to shore, die trying. He was focused like a laser beam on getting to shore.
I gave up in my mind that they were looking for us. I didn't believe they were looking for us. I felt like we had to get to shore.
I could see something appear on the horizon.
Dad! Hey!
It was coming our way, but my dad didn't stop swimming.
Help! Hey! Help! Hey! Here! Help! Stop swimming! Help!
We were all waving and screaming and hollering and everything in the water.
Help! Help!
It circled around us.
We're here! We're here! Help!
And then as soon as it circled around us, it headed off back from the direction which it came.
And as it turned away from us, I thought, why aren't they coming over us and just hovering, waving, throw us a candy bar, something, do something to let us know that they've seen us, that they found us.
We thought for sure we were going to have to do our own rescue and go on into shore on our own, that nobody was going to take care of us.
The exhilaration of seeing them was very high. It felt like you'd just jump out of the water and run on the water. And yet the letdown was even stronger when it turned and went away.
For the second time in 24 hours, the men feel alone and abandoned. While Jens waits for news, he has to make the toughest call of his life, to Jim's wife. And he doesn't even know if Jim is dead or alive.
She answered the phone, and I gave her, "Hey, Cheryl, how you doing?"
Hey, Cheryl, how you doing?
She said, I'm fine."
This might not shock you, but things didn't quite turn out the way we planned.
And she said, "What do you mean?" And I said, "Well,
We had to ditch the plane in the ocean.
and she said, "Where's Jim?"
Dad, stop swimming! Dad, you gotta keep swimming! Dad! They're here! Keep swimming, Dad! Look, they're here! Help! Dad, look! Help! Help! We're here!
The Mexican Navy, alerted by the helicopter search crew, are on their way. Jens' epic swim has saved their lives.
We could see on the deck of the boat a large party of sailors.
They were so happy to see us in the water and see us alive. I think they were happier than we were.
And a lot of their missions, all they found was bodies. And some of the young sailors were crying.
There was a great feeling of relief, but there was also a fearful moment. Even though now we were rescued, the thought recurred to me, what about Jens?
There was this crowd mulling around at the dock. And all these people that were there waiting just started clapping. And they all were kind of looking at me, looking in my face. It was kind of guy. Up until that point, I didn't realize that I was that guy.
I could see Jensen walking towards us. There was my buddy. That was a great moment.
It was so great to see him in person, and it's like, thank God, thank you, you know, that you allowed him to survive.
And Jim was the first one off the boat. And he hugged me.
I thought you were dead.
There was a huge sense of relief for the both of us to see each other again.
Yes.
And my dad came over and hugged me and told me he loved me. And that's the first time my dad had said that in years. At that point, I really felt that he did. I felt that he was proud of me.
And I still think of him as a hero.
Jim and his father have since been back to Mexico to go fishing. And Jens and his father now stay in regular contact. Despite their ordeal, Jim and Jens still go flying together. Why the aircraft's engine failed is a mystery that has never been solved.